Clara had everything most people spent their whole lives chasing. She lived in a shining apartment above the city, where the windows stretched from floor to ceiling, and the skyline glowed like a promise every night. Her wardrobe was full of elegant clothes. Her shelves held awards, gifts, and expensive things, collected from many countries. People admired her discipline, her success, her taste. They said she was lucky. They said she had built a beautiful life, and from the outside, they were right. But there was one truth no one could see. Every night, after the noise disappeared and the lights in the city blurred into silence, Clara would sit alone in the dark and feel nothing. Not peace, not gratitude, not joy, just a hollow ache she could never explain. It was as if her life looked full from every angle, except the one that mattered most. And lately that emptiness had started whispering louder than applause. Every morning, Clara followed the same routine with almost religious precision. She woke before sunrise, checked her messages, reviewed her schedule, drank her coffee without tasting it, and stepped into another day designed to produce results. She was admired because she never slowed down. She turned effort into income pressure, into progress, and ambition into identity. She had trained herself to believe that rest was laziness and that stillness was dangerous. If she stopped moving, she feared something inside her would rise to the surface. So she stayed busy. She bought better things, took more calls, set new goals before the old ones had time to mean anything. She told herself that fulfillment was just one milestone away, one more victory, one more contract, one more number in the bank. But every achievement faded faster than the one before it. The pleasure never stayed. The excitement evaporated almost immediately. And the higher she climbed, the more she felt a terrible suspicion growing inside her. Maybe success was not the same thing as a life. One rainy evening, while avoiding traffic on her way home, Clara stepped into a narrow antique shop she had never noticed before. The place smelled of dust wood and old paper. Shelves leaned under the weight of clocks, books, maps, and objects that looked as though they belonged to other centuries. Behind the counter sat an elderly woman with silver hair tied in a loose knot. Her eyes were calm, sharp, and almost unsettling in the way they seemed to look past appearances. Clara wandered the shop without interest until she noticed a small pocket watch resting beneath a yellow lamp. It was simple, not expensive looking, but something about it held her attention. "That one does not tell time," the woman said quietly. Clara looked up confused. "Then what does it do?" The woman smiled faintly. "It shows people what they have traded away." Clara almost laughed, but she didn't, because for reasons she could not explain. The old woman's words landed somewhere deeper than reason. Clara asked to buy the watch, but the old woman shook her head. "It cannot be bought with money." Clara, irritated, assumed this was some theatrical sales trick. "Then what do you want for it?" The woman folded her hands and studied her for a moment. "1 week of your life," she said. Clara frowned. "That makes no sense. 1 week without your titles, without your schedule, without your comfort, without anything you use to prove who you are." Clara almost walked away. Her time was too valuable for riddles. But then the woman leaned closer and said, "You are not tired because you work too hard. You are tired because nothing you do is touching your soul." The room went still. Clara said nothing. The woman gently placed the watch into her palm. "If you want to know why your life feels empty, follow the road marked on the inside cover of this box. Leave tomorrow. Bring only what you can carry yourself." Clara stared at the watch, unsettled. Against all logic, she agreed. The next morning, Clara left the city, wearing plain clothes and carrying a small bag. No driver, no assistant, no laptop, no polished version of herself. The road led her away from towers and traffic and into open land where the air felt too honest and the silence had no interest in flattering anyone. By noon, she was already uncomfortable. The sun was hotter than she expected. Her shoes were wrong for walking. Her shoulders ached. She kept reaching for a phone that was no longer there. She kept wanting distraction, noise, updates, proof that she still mattered somewhere. Without her routine, her thoughts became louder. Without constant movement, she felt exposed. She passed a small field, where children were chasing each other in the dust, laughing over a game with no prize. For a moment she watched them. Then she kept going. But something about their joy irritated her. Not because it was childish, because it was free. And she was beginning to realize she had spent years paying for things that never made her feel half that alive. Later that afternoon, Clara found an old man struggling beside a broken wooden cart on the side of the road. One wheel had come loose, and sacks of apples were spilling into the dirt. He looked up as she approached, breathing hard. "Would you help me?" he asked. Clara hesitated. This was exactly the kind of inconvenience her old life was built to avoid. She almost offered money instead, but he didn't ask for any. He only needed hands. Reluctantly, she knelt in the dirt and helped lift the cart while he fastened the wheel back into place. Her hands became scratched and dusty. Her knees ached. It took nearly an hour. When they finished, the man smiled with a tired warmth that felt strangely rare. He reached into one of the sacks and handed her an apple. "Thank you," he said. Clara looked at the fruit, then at him. No contract, no status, no reward worth posting about. Yet for the first time in longer than she could remember, a small, quiet satisfaction moved through her chest. That evening, Clara reached a tiny village where a woman invited her to stay the night. The house was old with cracked walls and uneven floors. The table was small. The meal was simple soup, bread, tea. By every standard Clara once used, it was not enough, and yet the room felt full in a way her apartment never had. The woman's husband came home carrying firewood. Their daughter ran in with muddy feet and a flower she had picked from the roadside. They laughed over small things. They spoke slowly. They listened when each other talked. No one seemed rushed. No one seemed elsewhere. Clara sat quietly observing them with growing confusion. How could people with so little seem so unguarded, so present, so whole? Later, when the child offered her the flower and smiled as if it were treasure, Clara felt something painful stir inside her. Not envy for what they owned, envy for what they had never lost the ability to feel the ordinary as something sacred. On the third day, Clara arrived at a river too deep to step over and too fast to ignore. A narrow wooden boat waited at the bank, tied loosely to a post. A ferryman stood beside it. He looked at her bag and said, "The boat can carry you, but not everything." Clara frowned. What does that mean? He pointed to the heavy items she had packed out of habit: an expensive coat, extra shoes, for a leather case full of documents she no longer needed, but had brought anyway because they made her feel prepared. Too much weight, he said. She hated the feeling of choosing. Those things represented safety, identity, control, but the ferryman did not argue. He simply waited. One by one, Clara removed what she could not carry forward. With each object set aside, she felt both foolish and strangely lighter. When the boat moved across the river, cold wind hitting her face, she watched the shore drift farther away. For the first time, letting go did not feel like failure. It felt like space. By sunset, Clara had climbed to the top of a wide hill where the land opened in every direction. There were no buildings, no screens, no urgency, only wind moving through tall grass and the sky changing colors beyond language. Orange dissolved into rose. Rose deepened into violet. Birds crossed the horizon like strokes of ink. Clara stood there with nothing to do and nowhere to report her location. At first, the silence felt unbearable. Then slowly, it changed. It stopped feeling empty and started feeling alive. She became aware of her own breath, the ache in her legs, the warmth still held in the ground. She realized how long it had been since she had fully inhabited a moment without trying to turn it into progress. Tears came to her eyes, sudden and quiet. Not because anything dramatic had happened, but because something had not. No demand had been made of her. No one needed anything. The world was simply there, and for once she was there too. The road eventually led Clara to a small house at the edge of a forest, where hundreds of clocks ticked behind the windows with soft, uneven rhythm. Inside lived a clockmaker whose face was lined with age and patience. He welcomed her as if he had been expecting her. Clara showed him the pocket watch. He nodded and set it carefully on a wooden table. "Most people think emptiness comes from not having enough," he said. "But more often it comes from abandoning too much." Clara sat across from him, in silence. He repaired a broken spring while speaking. "You abandoned wonder when you replaced presence with productivity. You abandoned connection when you made usefulness more important than love. You abandoned your own soul when you trained yourself to value only what could be counted." His words did not feel like accusation. They felt worse. They felt true. Clara looked around the room at all the clocks, each measuring time differently, and whispered, "Can someone get back what they traded away?" The old man answered gently, "Not the time, but the self that was buried beneath it, yes." The clockmaker led Clara into a back room filled with mirrors instead of clocks. Some were large, some cracked, some clouded with age. "Look," he said. Clara stepped toward the tallest one. At first she saw only herself as she was tired, thinner than she realized, guarded, even in stillness. But then the reflection shifted. She saw younger versions of herself, layered behind her. A girl, painting for no reason except joy. A student laughing without fear of being unproductive. A daughter, sitting beside her father while he told stories at dinner. Then the images darkened. She saw phone calls she had rushed through. Birthdays she had attended only in body. Mornings she had skipped the sunrise because she was chasing a deadline that no longer mattered. She saw not evil choices, but costly ones. The mirror did not reveal one dramatic mistake. It revealed 1,000 tiny trades. Wonder for efficiency, presence for achievement, life for performance. Clara touched the glass with trembling fingers and finally understood the source of her emptiness. "I thought I was building a meaningful life," Clara said, tears gathering in her voice. The clockmaker shook his head softly. "You built an impressive one." That sentence broke something in her more completely than any insult ever could. Impressive, not meaningful. Admired, not lived. She sank into a chair, covering her face as years of exhaustion, grief, and quiet hunger rose all at once. She had not ruined her life. That was the cruelest part. She had simply filled it so completely with achievement that there was no room left for aliveness. The clockmaker let her cry without interruption. After a long time, he placed the watch back in her hand. It was ticking now. "This watch begins only when a person stops measuring life by possession, praise, or output," he said. "Do not waste your pain. Let it teach you what matters." Clara closed her fingers around the watch. For the first time, she was not asking how to get more. She was asking how to begin again. Clara returned to the city by the same roads, but she was not the same woman who had left. The towers were still tall, the windows still shone, the schedule still moved like machinery. Yet everything looked different now, less powerful, less convincing. She entered her apartment and stood in the middle of all the beauty she had once worshipped. The silence inside it felt polished, expensive, and unbearably cold. She walked from room to room, touching objects that had once symbolized arrival. Most of them said nothing to her now. Over the next few weeks, she changed slowly, then decisively. She reduced her work, not out of laziness, but out of loyalty to something deeper. She sold many of the things she had bought to prove she was winning. She called people she had neglected. She visited her mother without checking the time. She began taking long walks with no destination. None of it looked dramatic from the outside, but inwardly, it felt like learning to breathe after years underwater. Change did not arrive all at once. Clara still felt the old pull toward busyness, toward proving, toward filling every empty hour with something measurable. But now, she noticed it, and instead of obeying it, she began choosing differently. She cooked meals without rushing. She sat in cafes without opening a laptop. She listened fully when friends spoke. She started painting again, badly at first, then beautifully. But this time the quality did not matter. What mattered was that she disappeared into it. She traveled not to collect photographs, but to let unfamiliar places soften her fixed ways of seeing. She visited a fishing town, a mountain village, a desert road that stretched beyond certainty. She spoke to strangers. She watched storms roll in over distant fields. She attended a funeral where grief made everyone honest. She danced at a wedding where joy needed no explanation. Life, she discovered, was not made rich by being optimized. It was made rich by being fully entered even when it hurt. Years passed. Clara's face changed. Her voice softened. Her pace slowed. But something in her eyes grew brighter than it had ever been in youth. One afternoon, while sitting on a train beside a young businessman, frantically checking numbers on his phone, she noticed the old hunger in his expression, the same restlessness, the same fear that stopping would mean disappearing. After a while, he glanced at her simple clothes-worn travel bag and weathered hands. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Do you ever worry that you could have had more?" Clara smiled and looked out the window at the blurred fields passing by. "I had more," she answered. "I just couldn't feel any of it." He said nothing. She turned back to him gently. "Now I own less, but I notice more. I love more. I remember more. I belong to my life now. That is wealth." The young man stared at her, unsettled, in the same way she once had been, and Clara knew the sentence had found its mark. Many people live the way Clara once did, not because they are selfish, not because they are shallow, but because the world rewards what can be seen and measured, while the soul grows hungry in quiet ways. No one applauds. So we keep chasing, keep accumulating, keep proving. And then one day, we look around and realize our life is full of everything except the feeling of being truly alive. Real wealth is not the amount you can display. It is the depth with which you have lived. It is the people you have truly seen. The moments you allowed to change you. The beauty you did not rush past. The pain you did not numb. The love you made room for. Possessions can decorate a life. They cannot animate it. Only presence can do that. Only experience can do that. Only a heart that is still capable of wonder can do that. So before you ask whether you are successful, ask something deeper. Are you actually living?